On the day when two tribal women were stripped, paraded naked and allegedly gang raped by a mob in Manipur, now horror stories of a similar nature, in fact much worse, is coming out from the state. Now, the victims, it is alleged that two women were gang raped and killed on the same day. The victims, aged 21 and 24, working at a car wash in the Imphal East district, around 40 kilometers from the site of the other incident, when they were targeted by a mob on May 4th at the peak of the ethnic strife in the state. The two women at the car wash were reportedly assaulted by a large group of men accompanied by some women. The victims were dragged into the room, the lights were switched off, and they were gang raped with cloths shoved in their mouths to prevent them from screaming. After allegedly enduring this ordeal for about an hour and a half, the victims were dragged outside and dumped next to a sawmill in the vicinity. Their clothes were torn, hair chopped off, and their bodies were covered in blood. Police sources have confirmed no action or arrest has been taken in this case so far. Their parents are still waiting for justice.
किसी भी महिला के ऊपर हुआ अत्याचार, दुष्कर्म उतना ही कष्टदायक, पीड़ादायक है, चाहे वो किसी भी राज्य में हो। और महिलाओं के प्रति बढ़ता अपराध और ऐसी घटनाएं, ये राज्यों की जिम्मेदारी है उसको कम करना, और मैं तो कहूँगा पूरे समाज को, सरकार के साथ साथ समाज को भी उस दिशा में कदम उठाने चाहिए। और इस पे एक अच्छी चर्चा हो, सदन में हो, सभी दल उसमें भाग लें, और किसी को चर्चा से नहीं भागना चाहिए। मेरा विपक्ष एक बार फिर हाथ जोड़कर निवेदन है, कृपया करके चर्चा से ना भागिए। आइए, सभी राज्यों में जो इस तरह की समस्याएं, चाहे वो राजस्थान हो, बिहार हो, बंगाल हो, मणिपुर हो, कोई भी राज्य हो।
The minimum demand we have for tomorrow is that the Prime Minister will come and reply to a discussion. We don't want a half an hour discussion or something like the ruling government wants us to have, but we want to have a proper discussion about what has happened in Manipur and the atrocities against the women in Parliament tomorrow, and we want the Prime Minister to reply.
Meanwhile, in fact, the violence is at this moment in Manipur remains on the top of the agenda as far as the opposition is concerned. Let's move on to some different, in fact, story, which is going to now see some sort of action as far as Parliament is concerned. The Aam Aadmi Party has opposed the tabling of the bill on Delhi services. Raghav Chadha, the Aam Aadmi Party MP, has written to Rajya Sabha chairman and has said the bill to replace the Delhi Ordinance is impermissible. The Aam Aadmi Party has asked the chairman to direct the government to withdraw the bill.
आज मैंने भारत देश के उपराष्ट्रपति और राज्यसभा के आदरणीय सभापति जी को एक चिट्ठी लिखकर, एक पत्र लिखकर साफ तौर पर ये बात रखी है कि दिल्ली सरकार की शक्तियां छीनने वाला जो अध्यादेश केंद्र सरकार लाई है, उसे संसद में पेश करना, उसका इंट्रोडक्शन नाजायज है, अनुचित है, इम्परमिसिबल है।
All right, for joining me at this moment to discuss more on this story, Shahzad Poonawala, spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Siddharth Sharma, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, also with us at this moment. I welcome both of you gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Shahzad, I want to start by asking you these three reasons that have been put up by the Aam Aadmi Party. They want, in fact, of them that the constitutional bench of the Supreme Court is going to hear this. They want to see the constitutional validity of this ordinance. In lieu, can the government at this moment risk getting in a bill as far as the Delhi Ordinance is concerned?
First of all, Ankit, since I know personally that you follow these matters, even though you primarily cover politics, but you have a keen eye on legal affairs, you should know that the 11th May judgment of the Supreme Court, para 95, makes it amply clear that the Parliament can legislate on any subject in the second or third list of the Constitution for the government of Delhi, apart from the three subjects, which is public order, land, and police. And therefore, in fact, it is the judgment that empowers the government or the Parliament in this case to, or either to come through ordinance or law, to make a law, even to do things on services or increase the executive power of the LG or through this ordinance with an authority on services. So it is in light of the Constitution and on particularly on 239AA3B. In fact, let me tell you also that recently they went to court to challenge this and they demanded, the government of Delhi demanded a stay. The Supreme Court did not offer a stay. The Supreme Court did not offer them a hearing on 2nd August and in fact has posted it for a higher constitutional bench of 5 judges. So clearly there is no stay, which means there is no predicament for the ordinance to now be brought in as a law, which is the law as per the Constitution. And please read para 95. I think if you read para 95, it will be amply clear. In fact, just last line, Ankit, somebody I disagree with vehemently, Ashish Khaitan, you would know him very personally. Ashish Khaitan has written a very detailed piece in The Wire about this issue, saying that the reading of Aam Aadmi Party on the entire 11th May judgment is actually wrong, and the Supreme Court empowers Parliament to continue to exercise its powers under 239AA3B.
Right. I just want to, before I get Siddharth in, as you said that the government, the Aam Aadmi Party and the Delhi government has gone to the court with this. One of the observations which was made in the order by the Chief Justice of India while transferring this to the Constitutional Bench, he said we accordingly refer the following questions to the Constitutional Bench. And that's very important. Number one, what are the contours of the power of Parliament to enact a law under Article 239AA in bracket 7? And it also said whether the Parliament in exercise of its power under Article 239AA7 can abrogate the constitutional principles of governance for the National Capital Territory of Delhi. Don't you think, in fact, Shehzad, at this moment when the Constitutional Bench would be, and I'm again coming to this point, would be looking into these two aspects, should the government wait before tabling this bill?
First of all, whenever any ordinance is brought, it is the constitutional mandate that the ordinance has to be brought into Parliament and be made into a law, or else the ordinance lapses.
For 6
Secondly,
months.
the Supreme Court... Well, that's true, but it is propriety demands that in the first and the immediate session that we bring it as a law. Secondly, and it gets a parliamentary assent. Secondly, the Supreme Court was specifically prayed that please put a stay on the operation of the ordinance. This was prayed by the government of Delhi. It was categorically refused. Now, Justice Chandrachud has framed the issues in the way he likes, and that's on his wisdom. But the framing of the issues for a higher constitutional bench neither curtails the power of Parliament, which is read into it by Article 239AA3B or by para 95 of the 11th May judgment. Nothing stops the operation of those two aspects.
Siddharth Sharma, the whole point that this is sub judice, if it was so important that the Supreme Court possibly would have given you a stay at this moment and would have also directed that till the time we don't dispose this off, maybe the government, because the Supreme Court cannot, in fact, direct the government at this moment, as Shehzad was telling us. Is the Aam Aadmi Party feeling a little nervous right now? Because you started this whole opposition unity thing by saying that this is going to be the test of opposition unity. If the government is building and bringing this in the Parliament right now, what's the problem? Let's test the waters.
Yeah. Ankit, first of all, let me tell you what our strong points are, and then I'll try to highlight the weaker points of BJP. The strong point here is that Article 1 of India very clearly states that India is a union of states. That's very clear. It's verbatim I'm quoting. It's a union of states. And except for law and order, public order, police, public order, and land, nothing belongs to the center. It is as clear as that in the 5-bench constitutional benches order. Now the question is, if India is a union of states, how can some states' power be abrogated or snatched away by the parliament. I think that is what Justice Chandrachud has been asking, whether the parliament has the powers to enact a law under Article 239A. That is the strong point with which Aam Aadmi Party is going. Point number one.
Sir, but that is the argument that you are presenting in the court. The court in its wisdom has also said, while we are discussing, deliberating and sending it to a higher bench to in fact deliberate on it, they have not given you any stay. If it was so urgent, don't you think the court would have struck that down and given you a stay?
Can I answer that? Because
Please
I think Shahzad was given enough. Shahzad was given enough ample opportunity. Just let me state the fact here. We are not. I think this is a very good discussion, not a debate in which we intervene each other. It's a educated.
Go ahead. You are wasting your own time.
Yeah. Okay. I'll come back to the point. So the second point here is that if Aam Aadmi Party feels, and it is very clear that the Supreme Court, in its own wisdom, when it says that it is not going to give a stay, it does not mean that it is siding with the BJP and saying that what BJP is doing is right. Because BJP cannot have a cake and eat it too. You cannot have it both ways. On one hand, it is BJP which has appealed in the Supreme Court for the ordinance. So on one hand, BJP is going to the Supreme Court regarding the ordinance. On the other hand, it is going into the parliament also with an ordinance. So the question is for BJP to answer that whether if BJP is so confident about its numbers in parliament, why is it in court regarding this matter? It should play it out in the parliament.
Sir, I'm sorry.
So that clearly shows, that clearly says that no, let me complete. So that clearly says that BJP doesn't have its numbers in Rajya Sabha.
And hence they will bring it, and hence they will bring it and want to table it, while you would not want that to be tabled.
I think why we are not wanting it to be tabled is purely legal, because Article 239A, you cannot change the Constitution of India just by getting some kind of, you cannot pass any bill in the Constitution of India.
Sir, but that is something that the Constitutional Bench is going to look into. How does that at this moment stop the BJP from tabling it?
No, BJP, why would the Constitutional Bench stop from tabling any legislation from any government?
Precisely.
I'm trying to highlight the hypocrisy of BJP, that it is having it a cake and eating it too.
Shahzad, respond to what Mr. Sharma is saying.
To the parliament.
Ankit, first of all, it is factually not correct that we have gone to court. The government of Delhi went to court under Mr. Kejriwal to stop the operation of the ordinance. So we haven't gone to court. But obviously the court asked the centre for a reply, and that's why we replied. Secondly, there was a specific stay asked on the operation of the ordinance, which was not granted. Thirdly, since Mr. Sharma said that the Constitution specifically prohibits Parliament from making law on any of the other subjects in list 2, list 3, apart from the 3 listed subjects of public, order, police and land, can you please tell me, Mr. Sharma, that which paragraph of the Supreme Court judgment 11th May says that? I can read out para 95 for you, but since you said that the Supreme Court has denied the Parliament such powers under 239AA3B, can you please tell me the specific paragraph?
Shahzad, I just want to, before he responds to that, I just want to ask you very quickly.
Let Mr. Sharma tell us the paragraph.
No, I will ask him that. But tell me one thing very quickly. I want to ask you this: when the ordinance was brought in, it was by many seen as a way that the government wanted to overturn or challenge what the Supreme Court had done in its wisdom, as far as that order is concerned, giving the services to the government of Delhi. Now it has gone to a higher constitutional bench, and I should not be, speculating on what they will decide. Is it somewhere walking down the path of putting the judiciary against the executive, judiciary versus executive, when both of them are parallelly looking into this situation?
Ankit, in fact, I would say that the ordinance is actually the most respectful, emphatic, and most precise articulation of what the Supreme Court has said. And let me quote to you, forget what Shahzad Punawala says. I quote para 95. As a corollary, in the absence of a law provision of constitution, the executive power of the LG acting on behalf of the union government shall only extend to matters of the 3 entities mentioned in Article 239AA3A, subject to limitations mentioned in 73. However, now please listen, however, if Parliament enacts a law granting executive power, and law means ordinance also, granting executive power on any subject within the domain of NCTD, the executive power of the LG shall be modified to that extent as provided in the law. Para 95 of this judgment.
Okay.
And let me just 10 seconds.
Okay,
Just 10 seconds.
I'm out of time. Siddharth Sharma, respond. Where does the order says that the government cannot enact a law? No matter what we talk about the morality or the motive of this law, the fact remains that there is no barring as far as the government is concerned in bringing in the ordinance or then, of course, making it a bill by presenting it to the parliament.
Yeah, Ankit, I'm not at all taking a morality argument. The whole fact that the Supreme Court right now in this order has sent it to the constitutional bench saying that they have to look into whether the parliament can enact a law under Article 239A, whether the parliament is even authorized to make a law, that itself makes it questionable. Now, if it's just making it questionable, let the Supreme Court decide on it. My argument
in
is
lieu
very
of that,
simple.
I mean, I'm
The
completely out of
BJP
time. I have to wrap this up. In lieu of that, even if I go by that argument, sir, that the Supreme Court has to, in that meantime, there is nothing that bars the government from doing what they are doing.
And the BJP doesn't have its numbers in the Rajya Sabha. That is also true. The BJP is today nervous because it doesn't have the numbers in the Rajya Sabha.
So if the BJP brings this, if the BJP brings this in the parliament, we will test, we will know exactly who has the numbers, who doesn't. Whether, like Mr. Kejriwal said, it is the test of the opposition unity, or can the BJP sail through is going to be a big question. Gentlemen, I have to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for sharing your views on the broadcast. A quick break, coming back, stay tuned. International news now. Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang has been missing for almost a month. He has not been seen in public. That's the discussion, in fact, going on not only just in China but across the globe as well. The Chinese Foreign Ministry first talked about his illness but now is totally silent on the matter.
Where is Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang? He was last seen on June 25th when he met delegations from Russia and Vietnam. There is no information on his whereabouts since then. Qin Gang also did not meet John Kerry on his visit to China. Even at the ASEAN summit, he was represented by his predecessor Wang Yi. The Chinese Foreign Ministry had then said that Qin Gang had some health issues.
中共中央外事工作委员会办公室主任王毅将出席7月13日至14日在印度尼西亚雅加达举行的中国东盟外长会。
However, the Chinese Foreign Ministry's website later removed the mention of Qin Gang's illness, and this further raised questions on his disappearance. When this question was asked, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson categorically denied having any information about this.
Current situation with Foreign Minister Qin Gang, why is the minister not attending the BRICS meeting on security affairs next week, and when will he return to public duties? Thank you.
I have no information to provide in regards to your question.
It's unbelievable that the foreign minister of the country is missing and the Ministry of External Affairs doesn't know where he is. There are speculations about an investigation into his rumoured affair with a TV anchor, and there are also reports that he was sidelined during the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to Beijing. The disappearance of big personalities is not new in China. Before coming to power in 2012 and again in September last year, Chinese President Xi Jinping did not appear in public for a long time. Speculations ranged from his illness to a coup. However, Xi emerged much more powerful. Now it is to be seen when and how Qin Gang reappears. With Uma Shankar Singh, Nayanthara Singh for NDTV.